When something unbelievable happens to you, the passing of time ceases to be an afterthought and instead becomes your worst enemy, the arbiter of your sentence. In the context of the impossible having taken place, attempting to continue living is a cruel joke. Everything is cast in the shadow of what has been, and it is impossible to forget, to stop thinking about for even a moment. But as time passes, you stop counting the days since it happened. Perhaps some nights you are even able to sleep. One day you will come to and realize you had forgotten to think about it for minutes at a time. Years build a wall between you and it. It doesn't become less painful per se, but rather less real. And the unbelievable slowly starts to seep back into its old, rusty box tucked away in the darkest corner of your mind. Sometimes it pokes its head out when you're sleeping or pensive, but if you're very lucky, it will remain there for a long time. I sometimes wonder if I was born with this hole in my chest, if I would be whole given a different set of circumstances. I'm not so sure. I come from a long line of alcoholics and addicts, abused and abusers, and the line between nature and nurture is blurred given the absence of a control sample. It's unclear whether this inheritance of generational mental turmoil is genetic or circumstantial. I suspect that they go hand in hand, in much the same way as a drunk with a bottle of liquor. There is an inkling that terrifies me, however. The potential for epigenetic trauma to be multiplied by current events. Double it and give it to the next person. I fear having children for this reason. If anyone is going to cash out on this jackpot, by all rights it should be me. If for no reason other than that someone has to be the one who breaks the cycle. I would rather take it with me to my grave than let yet another generation get caught up in it. I often wonder if those around me find life as difficult as I do. I tend to romanticize my pain as something wholly unique to myself. But in reality, I wouldn't have to throw a dart very far to hit someone who has been through the same and more. If I am unique, perhaps it is only in my sensitivity to pain, and that is not something I'm proud of. It's normal to be destroyed by the passing of a loved one, or upset by a breakup. But I have been moved less than I would like to admit by my encounters with loss, while the ending of a relationship moved me to wreck everything I had built for myself. When I'm feeling uncharitable, I read this as a deep-seated selfishness that extends to disregarding human life, as long as its absence isn't a direct inconvenience to me. I can't even say with certainty that this isn't the case, but I do believe it also has to do with a fear of both attachment and abandonment that was instilled in me early on by the events of my life. Everything in this universe has a built-in tendency to disorder. It is a guaranteed process that any organized system will naturally trend toward disarray. When I really look at my desk for the first time in weeks, to find that there is no longer room for a cup of tea amid the pile of garbage and dirty dishes, I'm surprised that I let it get so messy. But the real miracle is the occasional semblance of order I return it to. Any act of organization is the ultimate expression of life. To maintain order on any level necessitates constant work. Here, we must run as fast as we can, just to stay in place. And if you wish to go anywhere, you must run twice as fast. Survival itself is merely an attempt at maintaining the organization of molecules that makes you a living creature. An attempt that we renew each day, even with the knowledge that we are doomed to fail. Why? Why do we choose to live when we know that it would be far simpler not to decay and allow our matter to become disorganized? It has been 7 years now since the worst day of my life. The dreams that once plagued every moment of my sleep have become a rare occurrence. My living circumstances are the most stable they have ever been, and the memories are still sharp, still leave cuts when I try to hold them, but their edges have dulled. They have ceased to be the main focus of my life. I am still hypervigilant, still paranoid, but I don't lay awake in bed each night waiting for someone to kick down the door. Sometimes I am placed in situations where the threat of violence is present, and I feel my awareness detach itself from any notions of humanity, civilized reality, and lock back into the gear of animalistic survival, preparing to fight for my life. But most of the time, I am more myself than I have ever been. I am not always happy, but I don't expect to be. It is my nature to always be riding that wave, that if I ever stop to think and dissociate from my environment, I will become aware of the constant anxiety gnawing away at the roots of my being. But I have my ways of coping, and believe it or not, I am actually a jovial person most of the time. When I'm at work, I'm always smiling, joking, and laughing. I try not to take anything too seriously, and if something needs doing, I have no problem doing it. When I'm able to coax myself into the right mindset, I actually like work. A few weeks ago, during my morning commute, I had the sudden realization that I actually love my silly little life, which unexpectedly brought me to tears. There are certainly plenty of upswings and downswings, but I've learned that I don't have to be perfect all of the time in order to have a life that I personally find worthwhile. I have found, however, that my free time can be very dangerous. Having too much time to think can lead me down dark pathways, into old memories and feelings, places that I do not feel prepared to safely explore. Without direction, without a point to focus my attention, I can very quickly get lost in the dark. Nothing ever just happens, or conversely, everything happens for a reason. I have often become obsessed with trying to find that reason. If I follow the chain of causality that resulted in the events of my childhood, and believe me, I have tried, the blame would ultimately lie with Adam and Eve for having perpetuated the human race. There are certainly times when my life is defined by the pain I have felt, and how I have chosen to react to that pain, when the thought of doing anything always circles back to the same melancholic ennui. I wonder who I might be, absent the constant mental turmoil that plagues me. But truly, I don't know if I would like to be that person. They are unrecognizable in my mind. It is not that I find some perverse joy in my suffering, but rather that every cell in my body screams out in unison against a universe that is actively trying to destroy me. This pain is my lot. More, it is my destiny to fight, to care, to love, and to try my damnedest to add more beauty to this world, not because of my pain, but in spite of it. The very fact of my existence as a living, breathing creature is an open rebellion against the natural order of things. When will it stop? You know the answer. The very moment of your birth, you were thrust onto the front line of a battle against the universe. The only way to be free of pain is to stop fighting entropy, to stop continuously consuming and rearranging more matter into the withering shape of a human, to stop treading water. Existence, life, is a struggle by necessity. It will never be easy or peaceful, because it is a difficult and violent task by nature. But I ask you to take this not as your sentence, but with hope. For those of us who came into this world holding a bloody knife, there is no choice between war and peace. But we do have a choice. You can let life happen to you, slowly bleeding out from 1,000 cuts. Or you can be the first one to meet the charge, wild-eyed, screaming bloody murder, with a crazed smile on your face. That choice can make all the difference. This is a call to kindred souls, to you who are so close to me in spirit, yet feel so alone in your pain. Let us not go gently to the endless winter night. Rage, rage against the dying of the light. Thank you.
I will walk along with you. I will walk along with you. I will walk along with you. I will walk along with you. I will walk along with you. I will walk along with you. I will walk along with you. I will walk along with you. I will walk along with you. I will walk along with you. I will walk along with you. I will walk along with you. I will walk along with you. I will walk along with you. I will walk along with you. I will walk along with you. I will walk along with you. I will walk along with you. I will walk along with you. I will walk along.